Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel. Buhari arrives Maiduguri to inaugurate power other projects. Peter Obi says he won 2023 presidential election. Plus, US and Russia trade attracts tension at talks in Delhi. We'll bring you details of the stories and more in a moment. To inaugurate a 50 megawatts power plant and other viable projects executed by the state government. According to reports, the presidential jet landed at the Nigerian Air Force wing of the Maiduguri and state houses of assembly and some top government officials. Other dignitaries that received the president were the theater commander, Northeast Operation Hadin, OPHK Major General Ibrahim Ali, heads of security agencies, community and religious leaders. In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari joins leaders and members of the Redeemed Christian Church of God (RCCG) in celebrating the General Overseer, Pastor Enoch Adejare Adeb. Equally felicitates with family, friends, and other church leaders within and outside the country. Thankful for Adebayo's positive influence on people and institutions with a focus on expanding the kingdom of God on earth. Recalling the visits and prayers, especially when he was ill and recuperating, President will continue to bless and guide Pastor Adebayo and his family. Elsewhere, President Muhammadu Buhari has declared that Nigerians decided to vote for Bola Tinubu and other candidates of the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) in last Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections, due to the high level of development brought about by the present state. The president, according to a statement issued by presidential spokesperson Garba Shehu, said he was pleased with the people's choice of APC and its candidate. Buhari commended APC supporters and the Presidential Campaign Council for their historic win, adding that it would never have been possible without to meet aggrieved presidential candidates to start reconciliation process. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State and a member of committees disclosed this in a statement by his chief press secretary, Richard Olatunde. He said the committee of elders of the All Progressives Congress would soon begin to meet with co-contenders. In the meantime, the United States has congratulated Nigeria on the election of ruling party presidential candidate Bola Tinubu, while calling for calm amid accusations of voter fraud and concerns over technical glitches. The State Department called on the electoral body to improve on the highlight, avoid violence at this critical time and seek to resolve any dispute through legal channels.
We understand that many Nigerians and some of the parties have expressed frustrations about the manner in which the process was such concerns and should have high expectations for their electoral processes. We join other international observers in urging INEC that numerous members of the media were attacked during the course of the election, and we urge the government, security forces, political actors, and all citizens to respect the media's critical role by refraining from any damaging acts against them and ensure.
In a related development, the United Kingdom has congratulated the President-elect Bola Tinubu on his victory at the Saturday's presidential polls. In a statement, UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly hailed registered voters for exercising their democratic right and urged opposition parties to seek legal ways of addressing issues as well as focus on delivering democracy. Meanwhile, the pressure grew under the aegis of Iowa New Agenda and joined the president-elect to take decisive steps by extending. Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party has declared that he actually won the 2023 presidential election. According to him, he was robbed of his mandate, which he can only retrieve in a court of law. Away from there, the federal government has requested India to grant visa on arrival to Nigerians as a reciprocal gesture. Special Advisor Sarah Sander also requested India to fast-track the issuance of business visa to Nigerians. The minister emphasized the need for bilateral trade between both countries. Meanwhile, the Federal Executive Council in Abuja has approved the sum of 39.6 billion naira for various contracts for transmission lines in the Ministry of Power. Minister of Power Abubakar Aliyu in a press briefing said the 39.6 billion naira contracts comprised of offshore and onshore components of $53 million and 15.6 billion naira respectively. He noted that the second memorandum sought the Council's approval for the award of contracts for the construction of a 15-kilometer turn-in-turn outline of the existing Akure-Ado-Ekiti 132 kilovolt kV single-circuit transmission line at Akure, 330 kV, 132 kV and 33 kV substations. In a separate development, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) has disclosed that between January 2022 till date, 71 illegal refineries and 22 oil bunkering sites have been destroyed. The Corps in clamped down on activities of criminal elements such as vandals, economic saboteurs, and oil thieves with the use of advanced technologies. Within the same period, impounded 134 trucks, 36 boats, and other equipment used in perpetrating illegal oil bunkering in the country. Speaking at the celebration of the World Civil Defense Day in Abuja, the Commandant General of the NSCDC, Ahmed Audi, said the Corps has maintained a dogged fight against the activities of criminal elements such as vandals, economic saboteurs, and oil thieves with the use of advanced technologies. He noted that since his appointment as a Commandant General, disaster management, risk assessment, crime detection and prevention, protection of critical national assets and infrastructure (CNAI) like petroleum pipelines, electrical installations, communication equipment, roads, railways, and other relatively had improved from what it used to be. President of Rio, Akwa Ibom State Capital, have called on the Independent National Electoral Commission back here to ensure that the March 11th gubernatorial and State House of Assembly elections is free, fair, and credible. They met the
I also call on the free and fair election so far. This is a test run on our nascent democracy. So if we could give peace a chance, me and you could give peace a chance, we go out to vote a candidate of our choice, and then I think Nigeria, we will have a sustained democracy in Nigeria.
They also solicited with INEC to ensure quick arrival of the beavers and ad hoc staff and other electoral.
They should arrive polling unit on time. 2, they should make sure that the beavers has been activated before they move from INEC office. Because most time when the they brought the PFAS, it took time before it could come up for it to begin to use. Ad hoc staff arrived early. If there is any fault on this website that will warrant breakdown during the process, because the number of people that will vote on March 11 will be more.
We need a lot of machines so that can help people to vote in time.
Recall that the just concluded presidential election saw Bola Tinubu as the president-elect by the electoral body. In Africa, a number of thousands of people have demonstrated in Diapaga in eastern Burkina Faso to demand more security 3 days after a reported deadly attack on a neighboring town whose death toll remains unknown. According to the governor of the region, Herbert Yemelgo, who said an assessment would be done up as soon as possible, confirmed that the terrorist attacked civilians, ransacked and set fire on several material goods. Recall that Burkina Faso has seen a resurgence of jihadist violence since the beginning of the year, with dozens of deaths, civilians and soldiers, almost every week. Reports say the violence has left more than 10,000 civilians and soldiers dead since 2015 and 2 million people displaced. Still in Africa, at least 14 people have reportedly died, 7 in Madagascar and 7 in Mozambique following a tropical cyclone. According to the UN situation reports, the number of people affected by Cyclone Freddy has risen to 383,000 from 226,000 in Madagascar and more than 163,300 in Mozambique. Meanwhile, the World Food Programme's representatives in Madagascar, Pasqualina Cirial, said even though the intensity of Cyclone Freddy was not as much as expected, hundreds of thousands of people are in need of humanitarian assistance and recovery will take months. On a foreign scene, tensions over Russia's war in Ukraine have dominated G20 talks in Delhi, even after India's PM Narendra Modi urged foreign ministers to put aside their divisions. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the meeting was marred by Russia's unprovoked and unjustified war. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov reportedly accused the West of burying a deal to allow some Ukrainian exports. The foreign ministers include Lavrov, Blinken, and China's Qin Gang are in Delhi for the summit. And still on a foreign scene, France's anti-French sentiment runs high in some former colonies. He landed in Gabon's capital, Libreville, on Wednesday and will later head to Angola, Congo-Brazzaville, and the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. Macron's trip comes as alarm grows in Paris over Russia's rising influence in French-speaking African countries, joining China, which had been present in the region for some years. According to Macron, the French military would reduce its footprints on the continent in the coming months. Throw them in the news. World Cup Finals record goal scorer Just Fontaine dies at 89. Stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. On our business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has disclosed that the total asset of the banking industry grew by 14.36 trillion naira, or 24.24% from 59.24 trillion naira at the end of December 2021 to 73.59 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2022. The CBN disclosed this in the personnel statement made by the Deputy Governor, Financial System Stability Directorate (CBN), Aisha Ahmed, at the last Monetary Policy Committee meeting. She said key industry aggregates also continued their year-on-year upward trajectory, with total assets rising to 73.59 trillion naira in December 2022 from 59.24 trillion naira in December 2021, while total deposit rose to 45.50 trillion naira from 38.42 trillion naira over the same period. According to her, the financial system had provided significant support for needed domestic economic resilience amid global shocks and remained strong into 2023. Still in business, Seplat Energy PLC has said the sale and purchase agreement to acquire the entire share capital belonging to Mobile Producing Unlimited Nigeria for $1.28 million plus up to $300 million contingent consideration was still awaiting presidential approval. Its Chief Executive Officer, Roger Brown, made the announcement while commenting on its audited result for 2022, which recorded a rise in profit before tax by 15% to 87 billion naira from 71 billion naira year-on-year. According to Brown, the company hopes to conclude the transaction before the end of the current administration. The company, however, said it would be paying a US 7.5 cent final dividend, despite the significantly disrupted production experienced on the second half of the year. In health, Cambodian health authorities have said that there was no human-to-human transmission of bird flu in the case of a father and daughter who caught the virus. The 11-year-old girl died last Wednesday, and her father tested positive 2 days later, prompting the World Health Organization to voice concern about possible transmission between humans. Reports say one of the worst global outbreaks of avian influenza has been raging since late 2021, with thousands of poultry culled, wild birds dying in large numbers, and infections among some mammals rising. Meanwhile, Cambodia's Communicable Disease Control Department had said that the 49-year-old father, who had no symptoms, had recovered and been discharged from hospital. Humans rarely contract bird flu, but when they do, reports say it is usually from direct contact with infected birds. And still in health, Beijing has accused Washington of harming its own credibility after a top United States intelligence official said his agency believed the pandemic was most likely caused by a laboratory incident in Wuhan, China. FBI Director Christopher Wray told newsmen that the Bureau has now assessed that the source of COVID-19 was most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan. A report earlier this week had said that the U.S. Department of Energy had determined that a leak from a Chinese lab was the most likely cause of the COVID-19 outbreak. In sports, the family of Just Fontaine has confirmed that the all-time top scorer in a single World Cup finals with 13 goals has died at age 89. Fontaine achieved their record in the 1958 finals in Sweden, where France reached the semi-finals for the first time in their history, losing to Pele's Brazil. The finals record goal scorer also won 4 French league titles, with 1 Nice and 3 with the Great Reims side of the post-war era. He played in the Reims team that lost to the Real Madrid of Alfredo Di Stefano, Fenech, Puskas and Raymond Coppa in the 1959 European Cup final. According to reports, Fontaine was forced to retire in 1962 at the age of 28 after he suffered a double leg fracture. Still in sport, Nigeria's under-20 national team, the Flying Eagles, would today, Thursday, face the Hippos of Uganda in the quarterfinals of the ongoing CAF Under-20 AFCON in Egypt. Aside from a progress to the semi-finals of the competition, The winners of the clash will also secure a spot at the 2023 Under-20 World Cup, which will take place in Indonesia between May 20th and June 11th. Having made it out of the group stage in a bumpy manner, the Flying Eagles have set the world place as their primary objective at the tournament, which they last won in 2015. Meanwhile, their opponents, Uganda, will head into the game high on confidence after finishing top of Group A thanks to 2 draws against Congo and Sudan, a win over the Central African Republic, and the luck of drawn lots. Uganda only made their debut appearance at the Under-20 AFCON in the last edition, but they shocked all, including themselves, as they surmounted all obstacles to reach the final, but eventually settled for second place as they were beaten by Ghana in the final. And now on entertainment news, tickets for this year's Eurovision Song Contest in Liverpool will go on sale on Tuesday, 7th March. Reports say fans will be able to pay to attend 9 shows, 2 live semi-finals and the grand finale rather, as well as 6 previews doubling up dress rehearsals. Prices reportedly range from £90 to £290 for the live semi-finals and £160 to £380 for the live grand final. And still on entertainment, comedian Oluwaseyitan Aletile, popularly known as Seyi Law, has tendered an apology to followers and supporters of opposition parties he offended during his campaign for the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This is coming after the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) declared the All Progressives Congress APC presidential candidate as the winner of Saturday's election. The comedian, who in a post shared on his Instagram page expressed his happiness about how people are passionate towards their preferred candidate, stated that Nigerians should not develop bitterness and hatred towards one another. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Ray.